have blacks been pitted against Asians?
We need the black community to realize that the that black people are hurting Asians, and they need to speak out in their own community.
Hear me clearly. America is not a racist country.
I think the quick answer is that Asian Americans are given white privilege, especially the Asian Americans who fit the model minority stereotype. The quid pro quo for receiving that privilege is upholding white supremacy culture, which means being anti-black. I was talking with somebody last night who was pointing out that the Civil Rights Amendment was passed in 1964, but also in the 1960s, the United States opened the door to Asian immigration. So now you have an influx of racial minorities who knew nothing about the history of white violence against Black people, knew nothing about the Black civil rights movement. So they arrived with civil rights, not understanding how that came to be.
Well, first of all, no, I don't think America is a racist country.
South Carolina gas station owner was charged Monday with the murder of a 14-year-old boy whom he allegedly chased from the store and shot in the back. Rickchow thought the teen had shoplifted 4 bottles of water Sunday night from his Express Mart Shell station in Columbia. But Cyrus Carmack-Belton put the bottles back in the cooler and was off the store's property, running away when he was killed. A gun was found near the teen's body, and Chow's son, who was also involved in the chase, told his father that Carmack-Belton was armed after the teen fell as he ran. But the sheriff stated that there was no evidence the boy ever pointed the weapon at Chow or his son. Chow, who had a concealed carries permit, was charged after an autopsy showed that the teen was shot in the back, and deputies spoke to witnesses and reviewed surveillance and other video. Self-defense law in South Carolina requires that the shooter doesn't instigate the incident, believes he is in imminent danger, and has no way to avoid the danger. Quote, "You don't shoot somebody in the back that is not a threat to you." Same standard the cops live by. Chow, who is 58, was being held in Richland County Jail awaiting a bond hearing. Deputies stated that he turned himself in with the lawyer Monday, but they did not have the attorney's name. There was no sign that Carmack-Belton was fighting with Chow before he ran out of the store, and there was no injury to his body other than an abrasion from falling and a gunshot wound. The sheriff and the coroner asked for calm from the community. Social media posts stated that the teen was kneeling or had his hands up when he was shot. Rutherford told a crowd at the gas station Monday that the teen was shot while he was running and the bullet went through his back into his heart. She told the crowd, which was yelling a call for justice, to listen to the facts. Quote, "I was at the autopsy. I looked at his body inside and out. He had 1 shot to the back, which is why Mr. Chow is being charged with murder." Deputies have been called to Chow's store numerous times in the last several years for shoplifting complaints, and sometimes they turned into shoving or scuffling. But Lott stated his officers determined Chow was defending himself and he was never charged. But Sunday's shooting was not justified. The sheriff stated, even if he had shoplifted 4 bottles of water, in which case he had taken it out of the cooler and then put them back. Even if he had done that, meaning the shoplifting, that's not something you should shoot anybody over, much less a 14-year-old. Chow's store was broken into Monday night with shattered windows and merchandise pulled off the shelves and strewn across the floor. When deputies arrived, a large group was inside stealing items. The sheriff stated that he had plans to charge those involved. The entire gas station was behind yellow crime tape as of Tuesday morning. Dozens of crushed water bottles littered the parking lot, and graffiti of Cyrus or 14 covered the walls. A sign taped to the door read, "Water or Life," which means more. Another read, "Close it down." The third stated that the store would be closed down on Memorial Day. Occasionally, a car would park in a tiny section of the driveway to take photos, or someone would walk down the sidewalk taking cell phone video. The day before, the coroner stood near the gas pumps, asking the dozens gathering there to not turn to violence to help the grief of the family of Carmack-Belton, who was a student at a nearby middle school. Quote, "Please be peaceful. This family does not need any more trauma related to his death.
Asian Americans have weaponized our proximity to whiteness in order to murder Black people. George Floyd and Latasha Harlins should be here today, but they aren't because of our individual actions and our collective inaction. We can't just blame white people for pitting us against each other either, because the fact of the matter is that Asian cultures have a huge colorism problem and a huge problem with Black people.
So hopefully, by the time I record this, I'll have it up at 6 o'clock for you guys. And then there's going to be another video that's going to be up at around, 12 a.m. Um, my mentality was vastly in a whole, happier, was in a whole different place. And then I was informed, right? Um, by a subscriber, I might have their comment, directly up here, who stated to me that, yo, did you, a kid had his life ended due to the fact of like 4 bottles of water. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, what are you talking about? And, then he stated, the fortunate news, in a sense is due to the fact that the person is going to get charged. I'm like, wait, that don't make any sense. Like 4 bottles of water is like somebody, lost their life over like 4 bottles. Like, no. Let me go look this up. And then I looked it up, and it's exactly what you see directly, in front of you, which you were able to hear. So while keeping everything, pretty much together mentally, I want to give my condolences to the family. Um, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry that you literally had your son that day, and that same exact day you lost him. I'm sorry that's even the case. I know the main thing that a lot of people are going to try to trump up, and they're going to try to they're going to run with this narrative. They don't care about everything else that happened. As soon as they hear that, oh, he had a weapon on him, oh, the store owner had a right to fear for his life. He didn't know what he could potentially do. You never know what they could. Don't listen. Don't listen to any of those people. If you happen to go on social media, try your best to not look directly in the comment section, because you're going to see some of the most ignorant people saying the most ignorant things. Again, my deepest condolences, my most serious condolences to you, your family, the community, to his friends, relatives. Um, I'm sorry that y'all, ended up losing somebody over bottles of water. Something that should have never have happened. And then the other thing about it is, it was over the thought of what they thought that they saw, not that he even specifically did anything. And again, I don't want people to get anything misconstrued, thinking that I'm trying to give a justification. As the sheriff stated, at no point in time, even if, and I'm going to stretch this if to Andromeda, even if he did steal 4 bottles of water, the sheriff specifically stated that is not something that you sit up there and take somebody's life over. But yet, you're going to find people online trying to find a way to justify it, trying to say that the store owner is innocent or partially innocent, when realistically nobody stole anything. He was scared directly out of the store. He was ran directly out of the store over an assumption, over a thought, over a theory, over a figment of their imagination that he stole something. Now, I asked the question, if this was somebody who was white, would they have thought that they saw this person steal? Would they have made this assumption, which would have inevitably led to the loss of life that day? Or would they just let it be? Would they just take the L? I can tell you, due to the fact that we're dealing with an Asian American, they would have just took that L. Even if they knew that the person was stealing water, they would have let them go. they would have said, hey, it's okay. It's completely fine. He probably needed it. He's probably down on his luck. No telling what he's going through. They would have had some type of sympathy because they see themselves within the majority in the United States. They find themselves relatable. They find themselves standing shoulder to shoulder with their gods. And this is why they identify with them more than anybody else in America. Better yet, the world. So then when you have a young black teenager who is in a gas station, more than likely one of which that is in a black community, proceeding to be a patron of that gas station, the automatic assumption is that, oh, he's black, he's in my store, follow him, look at him, look at him, look at him. I think he stole something. I think he stole something. He moved kind of strange. I think he put something directly on his person. I think he's about to try to rob us. So with all of those thoughts and those theories, with nothing 100% confirmed, they automatically scared him out the store and let out a chase. And that chase ended up leading to him running from the store. He wasn't putting up an argument. He wasn't putting up a fight. He wasn't being combative. He wasn't in a bladed stance. There was nothing that anybody could say that could justify the reason that this young 14-year-old ended up losing his life over 4 bottles of water that were never even stolen, but yet were put directly back on the shelf because he was being frightened out of the store over an assumption. Because they were yelling at him, because they were screaming at him to get out the store. Stop stealing. We know what you did. Like I said, I've heard all of these things before. This is the normalcy that black people have to sit up there and deal with when it pertains to people who do not specifically belong to the black community, opening up businesses and shops, having ownership there, having a little bit of real estate. And then they feel that they can be judge, jury, and executioner. And a lot of times they do get let off. A lot of times people will try to find a justifiable reason or try to justify why it is that people are out here able to take a black life. But the main reason is because all of these people talking never valued black people. Now, some people might try to turn around and flip that and state, well, black people don't value other black people. Well, that's a history thing. That has nothing to do with you. So chances are you're not even black. So stay directly out of that conversation. The fact of the matter is that other groups of individuals out here, irregardless of whatever black people have to deal with when it comes to other black people, that family, it has nothing to do with you. So even if black people feel a certain type of way, that don't mean that you automatically, oh, if y'all feel this way about yourselves, I'm going to treat you the exact nah. That's not how that works. Because people have always sat up there and stated that irregardless on how it is that somebody feels or treat themselves, you're supposed to treat those people or that person with respect because you don't know their story. You don't know where they came from. You never walked a mile directly in their shoes. You don't know where their mind is at this moment in time. So within that, people always state that a person deserves a type of grace. And that grace is always given to every other group on this planet but black people. Every single time a black person walks, criminalized. Black person swims, criminalized. Black person going to work, criminalized. Black person going to their car, criminalized. Black person in the park, criminalized. Black person in the bowling alley, criminalized. Black person at a gas station, criminalized. Black person at a library, criminalized. A little black kid sitting up there wearing a styled design of his hair in school, criminalized, criminalized, criminalized. You go out there and you want to play basketball with your friends, criminalized. You want to sit up there and potentially go to your first day of college, criminalized. You want to start up your own business, criminalized. You want to walk door to door in your neighborhood and sit up there and maybe ask people some questions or see how people are doing, criminalized. That's how that works in America. I have yet to see countless times of any other group directly out here being criminalized for things that Black people do every single day. But yet when you talk about this, everybody want to magically talk about that they're a victim too. That this happens to everybody. Where? How many times and how often does this happen if it does happen? And even if it does happen, it's not as frequent. It's not on the heightened numbers that black people have. Like I said, we got scores of videos of these types of things happening specifically to our children, to our loved ones. We got records, we got history. But yet again, when people hear all of that, they want to try to say that they're victims too. They want to try to say that this happens to everybody. But let me just let you know, this ain't about everybody. So I need you to shut up, stand down, stand back. Again, whenever black people face anything in America, people always want to claim that black people are just playing the victim card. Black people are just playing the race card. That's because people don't want to pay attention to the obvious. And usually the main ones that's always stating that black people are deflecting or playing the race card or the victim card, they're some of the most racist people. Because they'll come through and come back with the main comment, oh, I got black friends. I got black family. I got mixed kids. No, you're racist. You're racist. You're racist. That's all it is. Don't matter who you got, who you know that's black, who you got that's black. Just because you got that don't make you any less racist. It doesn't. So like I said before, a lot of people are not going to understand this problem. They're not going to understand the scenario or the situation up until it starts specifically happening in their community and to their kids. And expect when it does for black people to stand back and to stand down. Black people ain't going to be marching. Black people not going to be trying to bring no awareness. Black people are going to mind their business, just like everybody else has been consistently minding their business in America whenever these things happen to black people. Just like everybody always wants to deflect and state that black people are being victims, black people ain't going to say no. We're just going to sit back and watch. We're going to sit up there and see what you do. We're going to see how it is that you feel when you got to sit up there and bury one of your loved ones, when you got to bury multiples of your kids because they were out there and somebody potentially thought that they did something that they didn't do. And they're going to try to use the I was standing my ground in order to justify the reason as to why it is that your child, your family member, your loved one is no longer here.